One of the world's most powerful drug cartel leaders appeared in a Texas federal court on Friday.
There are men whose names explode across headlines. And then there are men whose names are never spoken out loud. For more than 50 years, one figure controlled the most powerful criminal empire in the Western Hemisphere without tunnels, without social media fame, without ever becoming a household name. While governments hunted kingpins and celebrated arrests, this man remained untouched, unseen, untouchable. Ismael El Mayo Zambada. They didn't fear his face, they feared his whisper. Because when El Mayo's name reached you, it didn't mean you were under investigation, it meant the decision had already been made. Tonight, we are not telling a cartel legend. We are exposing a system of terror, built quietly, enforced efficiently, and perfected over decades. This is the true cost of the Sinaloa Cartel. Chapter 1. El Chapo was the face. El Mayo was the shadow.
We're here with some breaking news now. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, Mexico's most notorious drug lord, accused of setting up an industrial-scale trafficking and smuggling operation, a man responsible for tons of shipments of illicit drugs into the United States from Mexico over many, many years, has been convicted by a federal jury in a court in New York City. 10 counts.
When Joaquin El Chapo Guzman went on trial in New York, the world expected stories about drugs, money, and corruption. What they got was something far darker. Witness after witness described a man who didn't simply order violence, he participated in it. Torture wasn't a means to an end, it was a language, a warning. But buried beneath the shocking testimony was a truth that terrified prosecutors even more. El Chapo wasn't acting alone. Every execution, every disappearance, every message, approved.
El Mayo was one of the most prolific and powerful drug traffickers in this world. His partner was El Chapo. They were co-founders of the Sinaloa Cartel. They brutally murdered multiple people and flooded our country with drugs. Their reign of terror is over.
While El Chapo delivered brutality with emotion, El Mayo delivered it with discipline. He didn't need to be present. His authority traveled faster than bullets. Former insiders described El Mayo as calm, patient, calculated. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush decisions. He waited until violence was unavoidable. And when it came with purpose.
Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, also known as El Chapo, and now El Mayo, both stand convicted.
The most violent acts attributed to El Chapo weren't signs of chaos, they were signs of control. Chapter 2. The cartel's first rule: fear must be personal.
A mi hermano lo mataron los Viagras y a mí también me quieren matar a ellos mismos. Parece que les incomodamos al gobierno y al crimen organizado. Es por eso que nos están matando, pues. Aquí en la región de Tierra Caliente, pues ya nada más quedo yo. De líder, que estoy levantando la voz, nada más soy yo.
The Sinaloa Cartel didn't rely on random violence, it relied on demonstration. Punishment was designed to be remembered. Victims weren't just eliminated, they were turned into stories that traveled faster than any rumor. Entire communities learned what happened when loyalty failed. What made this system terrifying wasn't its cruelty, it was its consistency. Under El Mayo's structure, violence became predictable, and predictability creates obedience. Fear didn't come from chaos, it came from knowing exactly what would happen if you crossed the line. If you're still here, it means something important. You're not watching for shock, you're watching to understand power. Subscribe now, because what comes next shows what happens when that power challenges a nation itself. Chapter 3. Culiacán, the day the state lost. Mexican forces attempted to arrest Ovidio Guzman, El Chapo's son. Within minutes, the city of Culiacán transformed.
Fierce gun battles in the city of Culiacán in northwest Mexico. Security forces and drug cartel gunmen fight it out after the short-lived arrest of Ovidio Guzman. He's the son of the notorious drug cartel boss Joaquin Guzman, also known as El Chapo, who's serving a life sentence after extradition to the United States.
Gunmen appeared from nowhere. Roads were sealed. Military convoys were surrounded. This wasn't panic. It was a pre-planned military response. The cartel didn't improvise. They executed a strategy rehearsed for years. Snipers on rooftops, armored vehicles in civilian streets, families trapped between gunfire. The operation wasn't meant to win a gunfight. It was meant to break political will, and it worked. Chapter 4, El Mayo's Real Legacy. El Mayo didn't build his empire on spectacle. He built it on absence. People vanished, records disappeared, entire lives were erased. Investigators didn't find traditional crime scenes. They found systems, locations designed to eliminate evidence completely. Under El Mayo, murder wasn't emotional, it was logistical. The goal wasn't revenge, the goal was silence. The greatest fear wasn't dying, it was being forgotten.
So Chapo Guzman is a brand. He's a mystique.
He's a psychopath. He created a multinational drug trafficking organization.
The basic equivalent of a FedEx in its logistics.
Maximize revenue and minimize the risk.
As you can see, the tunnel has lighting and it runs south down into Mexico.
Netflix and Facebook, they were making roughly the same amount of money.
The government is seeking $12 billion from El Chapo. That's the profit of his sales.
Chapter 5, The Digital Cartel. Violence goes viral. The old guard ruled through whispers. The new generation rules through screens. Los Chapitos didn't just inherit territory. They inherited fear and upgraded it. Violence became content. Intimidation became branding. Social media wasn't a risk, it was a weapon. The goal was no longer secrecy. The goal was inevitability. Chapter 6, The American Kidnapping.
New information into the kidnapping of several Americans in Mexico. ABC News has learned 5 Gulf Cartel members have been detained after leaving an apology note and a photo of themselves. The remains of the 2 Americans killed, Shide Woodard and Lizindell Brown, expected to be returned to the U.S. today for further autopsies. The group was traveling from South Carolina to Matamoros, so one of them could cross the border and have cosmetic surgery.
Cartel public relations. In 2023, 4 Americans crossed into Matamoros. 2 never returned. The response shocked the world. An apology letter, suspects delivered, victims returned. It looked like mercy. It wasn't. The cartel wasn't apologizing to families. They were signaling to governments. El Mayo is old now, frail, silent, but the system he built still breathes. It doesn't need orders. It doesn't need permission. Because fear, once perfected, runs itself. This isn't history, it's unfinished. Subscribe for stories that don't look away, and tell us, which moment proved the cartel was more powerful than the state?